Right. Start this now, brother. He is not going to put it down. So, from today onwards, probably for any fan going there. No, okay. From today onwards, for a period of next 3 or 4 classes, one of the important problems which is concerned with food, that is food safety and food adulteration, food hygiene. These are the things which we will be talking. Probably I may take 3 classes, or possible I will complete it 2 classes. So, what is the classification of food? What are the definitions? What is food surveillance? And then what is food hygiene? There is one aspect, what we call as food hygiene. And then there is another aspect, what we call as food safety. And then food additives and food preservatives and food processing. This food processing, I will not be dealing with it in detail, just I will be touching upon it. And sanitation of food establishments and conservation of nutrients and food fortification, food adulteration and milk hygiene. These are certain topics which are of interest. In 2015, WHO's theme in that year was food safety from farm to the fork. That is fork which we use to eat. So this, and throughout that year, WHO tried to highlight the importance of food safety. There are so many things which an individual can do, there are so many things which government or public health institutions or community can do about food safety. So I will be concentrating mainly on what introduce you to the basics of the issue. So food safety and standards act and all these things. So I am going back, I believe. Right. So introduction. Food is one of the physical environment. Adequately hygienic food is necessary for maintaining the health, vitality and well-being of an individual. Food also acts as an important vehicle of transmission of the diseases because of its liability for contamination at any point during its journey from producer to the consumer, that is from farm to fork. So, due precautions must be taken while procuring, storing, processing and cooking of food. This storing of food, as for most of us, we store either cooked food or raw food in a refrigerator, and cleanliness of that refrigerator and raw vegetables and all those things, cleaning them before putting them into the refrigerator and ensuring that they are in a good condition, in fact. So that is, they haven't gone stale or they haven't got rotten and all those things. It is very, very important. And all those things, each individual has to work it out at the individual level. So classification of foods by origin, animal origin and vegetable origin. By chemical composition, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins and minerals. By function, bodybuilding foods, energy yielding foods and protective foods. And by nutritive values, cereals and millets, pulses, vegetables, nuts and oil seeds, fruits, animal foods, fats and oils, sugar and jaggery, condiments and spices, miscellaneous foods. So now when I say food, what I mean by it now, you have understood. So food means any substance, whether processed, partially processed or unprocessed, which is intended for human consumption and includes primary food to the extent defined in the clause, genetically modified or engineered food, or food containing such ingredients, infant food, packaged drinking water, alcoholic drink, chewing gum, and any substance including water used into the food during its manufacture, preparation or treatment, but does not include any animal feed, live animals unless they are prepared or processed for placing on the market for human consumption, plants prior to harvesting, drugs and medicinal products, cosmetics, narcotics or psychotropic substances, provided that the central government may declare by notification in the official gazette any other article as food for the purposes of this act, having regards to its use, nature, substance or quality. This is the legal definition of food. So again I am repeating, food means any substance, whether processed, that is you have cooked. The rice alone is not food. There is something else, partially processed, that is hand pounded rice. For example, I am giving one example, raw rice but hand pounded, or unprocessed, the most of the fruits which you eat, which you consume, they are unprocessed actually. When the food becomes processed, when it becomes a jam or a jelly, so which is intended for human consumption and include primary food to the extent defined in clause ZK. So genetically modified and engineered food or food containing such ingredients as infant foods, packaged drinking water, water per se which is flowing in the river is not a food, or which is coming out to the tap also is not a food, but once it is packaged, kinlay, biscuit, it becomes a food. Preparation or treatment but does not include any animal feed, live animals unless they are prepared or processed for placing on the market for human consumption. Live animals are not food, but once they are cut, they become food. The meat becomes food. The plants prior to harvesting, drugs and medicinal products, cosmetics, narcotics, all these things come under the purview of Food Adulteration Act, Food Safety and Standards Act. Food means a raw, cooked or processed edible substance. Ice, beverages, or ingredient used, that is tea, coffee, not only alcoholic beverages, or ingredients used or intended for use or for sale in whole or in part for human consumption or chewing gum, even including chewing gum. You may not swallow it, but even then. So adulterant means any material which is or could be employed for making the food unsafe or substandard or misbranded or containing extraneous matter. So this is adulterant. Means any material which is or could be. Food adulteration is a very big problem. The commonest example, very well known example previously, was mixing of water in milk. And there are so many adulterants which I will be touching upon during the course of this lecture. Adulterant means any material which is or could be employed for making the food unsafe or substandard or misbranded or containing extraneous matter. So contaminant means any substance, whether or not added to food, but which is present in such food as a result of the production, including operations carried out in crop, husbandry, animal husbandry or veterinary medicine, manufacture, processing, preparation, treatment, packing or packaging, transport or holding of such food or as a result of environmental contamination, and does not include insect fragments, rodent hairs and other extraneous matter. Say this is contaminant. Contaminant means any substance whether or not added to food, but which is present in such food as a result of the production, including operations carried out in crop, husbandry, animal husbandry or veterinary medicine. Example he has given: hair, animal hair, or rodent hair, or insect fragments. All these are contaminants. And food safety means assurance that food is acceptable for human consumption according to its intended use. Food safety and food hygiene, all conditions and measures that are necessary during the production, processing, storage, distribution and preparation of food to ensure that it is safe. In the hotels, they have to take so many precautions so that no extraneous matter, that is air, doesn't come into your food that is consumed by you. That is the reason why these chefs wear very big caps. Preparation of food to ensure that it is safe, sound, wholesome and fit for human consumption. Probably so many places in the hotels you would have seen, while handling the food also, or while selling the food also, nowadays people are using disposable gloves. So that is necessary to prevent transmission of infections such as amoebiasis, typhoid through food handling. So food safety management system means the adoption of good manufacturing practices, good hygienic practices and hazard analysis and critical control point and such other practice. As far as hotel is concerned, the critical controlling point is the hands of the food handlers and also the kitchen. And also another critical controlling point will be where the vessels are washed. Ideally the vessels should be dipped in 5 minutes in boiling water so as to rinse them free of any contaminant. So food surveillance. It is essential for the protection and maintenance of community health. It implies the monitoring of food safety or food hygiene. The importance of surveillance of food-borne diseases has been underlined in the WHO 6th General Program of Work for the period 1978 to 83. The most important international program carrying out activities in the field of food hygiene is the joint FAO-WHO Food Standards Program. The declaration of Alma Ata considered food safety as an essential component of primary health care. Now, food hygiene or food safety. So, this mainly deals with certain things such as food additives, food preservatives, food processing, sanitation of food establishments, conservation of nutrients, food fortification, food adulteration, milk hygiene, meat hygiene, foodborne diseases and food allergy and food toxins. So about each of this I will be talking just one or two slides, not more than that. So food additives. Any substance not normally consumed as a food by itself or used as a typical ingredient of the food, whether or not it has nutritive value. The intentional addition of which to food for technological purpose in the manufacture, processing, preparation, treatment, packing, packaging, transport or holding of such food results or may be reasonably expected to result in it or its byproducts becoming a component of or otherwise affecting the characteristics of such food but does not include contaminants or substances added to food for maintaining or improving nutritional qualities. So these are certain list of food additives. You can see tartrazine, sunset yellow, carmine, brilliant blue. So that is how all your sweets and all those things, they acquire different colors, very, very colored. And again, in some kind of thing, and then erythrocin, and then annatto. Annatto is one dye actually, it is a plant product. And monosodium glutamate, and this has been implicated in several diseases in fact. And then sodium sulfate and potassium metabisulfate for the purpose of imparting some kind of a taste also. And then sodium benzoate, which will help in good baking practices, and aspartame, which is a sugar substitute, and then only those things. These are certain food additives. They themselves, they won't contribute to nutrition in any manner. They will add only that they will make the food either attractive or more palatable. Especially this aspartame and all those things, they are used liberally and abundantly in your all fast foods. So food additives. So coloring agents are saffron, turmeric, this you know, these are natural food additives, and then tartrazine and then caramel, these are not natural color additives. And then flavoring agents, there is vanilla, essence, cloves, ginger, all these things. So, and then sweetening agents, saccharin and aspartame. Now, few more things have come like stevia, and then preservatives. Example, sorbic acid, sodium benzoate. And then palatability agents. Example, citric acid, benzoic acid. And then stabilizing agents. Example, gum, starch, dextrin. And now indirect food additives are pesticides, rodenticides, and arsenic also. So, some definitely, for instance, turmeric or saffron, there is no problem with them. To some extent, they may be of some help also. Similarly, cloves or ginger, they are helpful, but some are harmful. That is the thing. So, prohibited additives. What are the prohibited additives? Lead chromate, methynyl yellow, ferric sulfate, and copper carbonate. Harmful effects are allergy, food poisoning, carcinogenicity, etc. Food sources. So where these additives are usually used: bread, biscuits, cake, jam, jellies, soft drinks, ketchup, all these things, they are brightly colored, isn't it? Remember that. Two regulations: Prevention of Food Adulteration Act and Fruit Products Order also is there. Any processed food containing the additives more than the permissible limit or that are not permitted is considered to be adulterate. The nature and quantity of the additive must be clearly printed on the label. This is as per the Act. So, food preservation. Preservation of food is necessary because food is liable for spoilage due to the action of microorganisms. It may be fungi, yeast, or bacteria, insects, and enzymes. For instance, aspergillus flavus on groundnuts produces aflatoxin, and then consumption of which results in aflatoxicosis. And yeast on fruits converts sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide. And anaerobic bacteria spoil tin food. Clostridium Welsh botulinum. And then spoiled tin food, anaerobic bacteria. And then aerobic bacteria spoil milk, egg, meat, vegetables, staphylococcal poisoning. So, objectives of food preservation. So, preserve nutritive value, prolong the life of the food, make food available in off seasons, add variety to preparation, avoid wastage of food, and then save time in procurement. All these things are very, very important. India is predominantly an agricultural country, but sadly we are lacking in appropriate food preservation technologies. In fact, lots of ground has to be covered with us in this aspect. And we have increased the agricultural production, no doubt, but as far as food preservation is concerned, we have not made much. Modern food preservation methods are concerned, we have not made much headway. And now principles of food preservation: maintain SFCs, prevent entry of the organisms by air, and then make liquids free from bacteria by filtration through porcelain filters, destroy enzymes by blanching, example pasteurization of milk, and then destroy pathogens by irradiation of fruits and vegetables, etc. So methods of food preservation, some are very ancient also. So dehydration, and then coating and glazing, salting, chemicals and refrigeration, heating, smoking, canning and irradiation. So you can see salting, heating, smoking, all these are dehydration also, and a better term. So all these are relatively older techniques, whereas the coating, glazing are chemical and refrigeration, and then canning and irradiation, these are modern techniques. So these are all methods of food preservation. Dehydration, for example, removal of moisture from fruits, chilies, preparation of milk powder from milk, etc. All these things, this dehydration is the principally used. In fact, some fruits, especially that is mango, it is made into amchur. In Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, it is made into magaya, that is one kind of dried mango bits, which is pickled actually. Now coating and glazing, for example, a coat of sodium silicate over the egg closes the pores and prevents spoilage. And then salting, for example, lemon is best stored in pickling. Not only lemon, but just now I have mentioned so many other things. And then chemicals, for example, benzoic acid is used for food preservation. And refrigeration and chilling, for example, keeping the fruits, vegetables, milk, egg, meat, drink, etc. in the refrigerator prevents the growth of pathogens. Digestibility and food values are not affected. So this is a daily practice, in fact, but relatively modern practice. Heating, for example, pasteurization of milk, however, spores are resistant to heat. And now smoking, for example, smoking of meat and fish. And canning, for example, hot food is put inside the can and again heated. Then the can is heated. This makes the can airtight. And then irradiation. For example, irradiation with ultraviolet rays for fruits and vegetables. So all these things can be practiced as food preservation technology. So food processing. Now this is some, even in food processing also there are certain ancient methods and there are certain current methods. So what are the ancient methods? Parboiling. Nutrient loss is minimized in the rice. This is what? Actually, the rice is boiled and then soaked, and then rice, no, not rice, it is paddy. Paddy is boiled and then soaked, and then it is hand pounded. That is what we call as parboiled rice. In that, all the values, nutritive values, especially vitamin B complex group of vitamins, and then even protein, which is associated with rice, everything leaches very nicely into the grain, and the nutritive value is maintained. So that is a very good and ancient method of parboiling. Actually, now it has been, this process has been mechanized, and parboiling not only ensures nice preservation of nutritive value, but it also improves the longevity of rice also. And then patching and puffing. So cereals are moistened, then heated. While heating, the escaping water causes the grain to swell, and in this parching and puffing, that is what we call as murmure. So in that lysine is lost, important amino acid, which is a essential amino acid. And sprouting and germination. Of course, this will prolong the life of the pulse grains for some more time, but it is not as durable as parboiling or anything like that. So pulse grains are moistened and stored in wet condition for 24 to 48 hours. The grains sprout. Vitamin C increases 10 times. Thiamine, riboflavin and niacin is almost doubled. And even iron availability also is improved. Ferment. The microorganisms multiply under the processing condition. Example, curd from milk, rice and urad dal for idli, doubles the thiamine, riboflavin and niacin. Now, liming, introduction of lime in foods like buttermilk, rasam, fermented mixture, prevents destruction of thiamine and riboflavin. So, sanitation of food establishments, restaurants and eating houses. The Model Public Health Act 1955, it prescribes the location, the nature of the floor, the number of rooms that should be there, and the walls which should be rendered impervious, lighting and ventilation. It gives specifications for kitchen and also storeroom and the kind of furnitures that should be maintained in food establishments and collection of refuse and washing utensils and water supply. All these aspects are there in the Model Public Health Act 1955. How much it is followed, that is a different issue. The food handlers. Now another important topic is food handlers. So carriers of various diseases such as typhoid, diarrhea, dysentery, enteroviruses, viral hepatitis, amoebiasis, ascariasis, strepto and staphylococcal infections. Especially, I don't know whether you have heard of typhoid Mary. She was a carrier of typhoid bacilli in her. So, that nurse has spread in the process of food handling and all those things to nearly 380 people. See, typhoid, unlike COVID-19, it won't spread with through breathing or anything like that. The only thing is, her hands are contaminated, and with that, the fruits or milk or whatever she has handled, it has become contaminated, and she has spread typhoid bacillus to 380 persons. So, from this you can understand the importance. And so, as far as these things are concerned, say diarrhea, a proper hand washing practices. Now, with this COVID-19 pandemic and all that, now proper hand washing practices have become very popular. But only the thing is, you have to keep on enforcing them. And then, so this diarrhea, dysentery, enteroviruses, viral hepatitis, all these things can be taken care of by proper hand washing practices. And then amoebiasis and ascariasis. As far as ascariasis is concerned, so food handlers should trim their nails. It is in the nails that the ova of ascariasis ova will be lodged and they will be transmitted through that food handler to the person who takes the food. So that is the reason why we should insist that food handlers should trim their nails properly. And then of course amoebiasis it is a very difficult thing. In fact, one of the more commonest foodborne disease which is spread through food handlers is not typhoid but amoebiasis. And then strepto and staphylococcal infections. So, pre-placement through medical examination to exclude the presence of suffering of the systemic diseases and day-to-day health appraisal should be made, should abstain from their duty whenever they develop septic skin lesions, respiratory and intestinal symptoms, or otitis media, or anything till they cure bacteriologically. So they should be educated food handlers. They undergo periodical medical checkup and take the treatment promptly, educated to maintain a high standard of personnel, hair, nails, overall and habits. Now, then again, so conservation of nutrients. How can be done. So, kept clean and dry, and under-milled or hand-pounded rice should be preferred. As far as pulses are concerned, sprouting pulses should be preferred. Too small and too early of cutting vegetables before cooking avoided. So, ghee, butter, oil kept in cool, dry place to prevent rancidity. These are before cooking. These are the conservations which you can take up before cooking. So, keep clean and dry your kitchen. And under-milled or hand-pounded rice should be preferred. That is, and then sprouting pulses should be preferred to whatever extent possible. And too small and too early of cutting vegetables before cooking avoid. So, and then now ghee, butter, oil kept in cool, dry place to prevent rancidity. Now, during cooking, vegetables put in boiling water instead of boiling them in water. Vegetables should not be cooked for more than 15 minutes. Baking soda should not be used. And potatoes should be cooked without peeling. Milk should be pastured. And then eggs cooked below boiling point. And addition of little acid required. And steamy eating is good. And now, after cooking, repeated reheating is avoided. Food to be eaten while it is hot. These are the conservation of nutrients which you can take up at your individual level. This is what WHO was emphasizing. Even there is an individual responsibility in food safety. Just you can't brush aside the importance of food safety and speak only about nutritive quality and nutritive values in the foods. In fact, these 2 or 3 lectures are meant for that purpose only. Now next, so what is food fortification? So it is the process wherein nutrients are added in small quantities to the foods to maintain or to improve the quality of food aimed at prevention and control of some nutritional disorders as a long-term measure. For fortification, the nutrient and the vehicles should fulfill the following criteria. This food fortification may come as a short note to you in the examination. So the vehicle must be consumed consistently by the community as part of their regular diet. For example, classical example is common salt fortified with iodine. So the nutrients should not be hazardous. And then the nutrient should not undergo any change in taste, smell, appearance or consistency. That is the whole problem. In fact, salt can be used as a vehicle for iron also. Because most of the Indian women are deficient in iron. But the nutrient should not undergo any change in taste, smell, appearance or consistency. Unfortunately, when you mix salt with some kind of an iron, that is sodium chloride with some kind of an iron salt, it is changing its color, number 1, and number 2, its keeping quality also is deteriorating. That is the reason why we are unable to use fortified iron salts. And then the cost of fortification should not be beyond the reach of the persons. Examples: addition of vitamin A and D to vanaspati and milk. Now vanaspati is something which has to be banned. So this has to be removed, but Government of India, for its own reasons, it has not banned vanaspati as on date. And addition of potassium or sodium iodide to common salt, iodization of salt. Just now I have given the example. Addition of iron salts to common salt for the prevention of nutritional anemia. This has been attempted but dropped. And the addition of lysine to wheat flour while making bread. And then fortification of common salt with iron and iodine. And then fluoridation of water for the prevention of dental caries. Now this is being condemned all over the world. Previously, it was permitted where the levels of fluoride in drinking water were low in few countries actually. Now our problem is, in the last class as I have explained, Nearly 22 crores of people are living in fluoride belt in India. That you point. So if you start fluoridating toothpaste and water and all those things, then you will be adding to the problem. You will not be solving the problem. Now, the next thing is food adulteration. Even this also can come as a short note. It consists of large number of practices such as mixing, substitution, removal, concealing the quality, selling decomposed products, misbranding, giving false labels, and addition of toxicants, etc. It is a social evil. Disadvantages for the consumers. And ultimately the consumer gets something of low quality at more cost, and if it causes ill health, then costs of treatment will far outweigh the cost of consuming that cheap food. Risk of ill health. Example, epidemic dropsy, allergy, gastritis, and testicular damage, etc. Examples of food adulteration. Now, a big list is there. Cereals, they are mixed with stone, sand, or grit, so that its weight will increase. And now dal, Bengal gram dal, it is mixed with kesari dal. In the previous class, I have told about lathylism. So, the risk of lathylism will be there if that kind of an adulteration. Milk, addition of water, or removal of cream, or addition of starch. So all these things can cause waterborne diseases, and moreover it amounts to cheating. Ghee, addition of vanaspati is nothing but a kind of a ghee extracted from plants, and then butter. So mixing it with starch or animal fat. And now turmeric powder. So lead bromate powder, I have told you, lead bromate is one of the prohibited additives. And then black pepper, the dried seeds of papaya, they also look like pepper. So they are added. And the chili powder with brick powder. So tea leaves, husk of black gram, reuse of tea leaves. And then coffee seeds, they are mixed with tamarind seeds. And now baking powder, it is mixed with citric acid. And now honey, mixed with sugar or jaggery. And sugar itself is mixed with chalk, cane sugar. Now mustard seeds of prickly poppy, it causes epidemic dropsy actually. It's a very big problem actually. Edible oil with mineral oil. And then ice cream with starch, cellulose and washing powder. Anything can be. And then asafoetida with resins and gums. Jaggery solution. Honey or vice versa. And then coffee powder mixed with chicory. And now non-alcoholic beverages mixed with non-permitted colors such as saccharin, dulcin, lead, arsenic, copper, dirt and filth. Now, tests for adulterates. Physical tests. Argemona mexicana seeds, prickly poppy, are black in color but not uniformly smooth and round. So, by examination you can. Kesari dal is wedge shape. Now, iron filings in tea separated by magnet. And ergot seeds are lighter than bajra and float on water. From sand, gravel, pebbles can be observed and removed physically. Now, chemical tests. Chemical tests for the following adulterates. Methanol used in haldi powder. 2 grams of sample is added to 5 ml of alcohol and shaken. 2 grams of sample is added to 5 ml of alcohol and shaken. A drop of concentrated hydrochloric acid is added, and now pink color indicates presence. Starch. This is added to milk. Little iodine is added to the sample of milk, and blue color indicates that the starch is present. The argemone oil added to mustard oil, 5 ml of nitric acid added to 5 ml of suspected mustard oil and heated about 5 minutes. Red color indicates they are adulterates. The artificial red colors to chilies. A piece of cotton soaked in liquid paraffin is rubbed with a sample of chili powder. Now the cotton becomes red. The rules. So briefly, this may prevention and control of food adulteration, food standards. Even food standards can come as a short note. These are frequent preferred questions in preventive medicine. Short notes. So what is Codex Alimentarius? Codex Alimentarius Commission is a principal organ of joint FAO-WHO Food Standards Program. This has formulated food standards for the international market. The standards prepared by CAC has been accepted internationally. Now PFA standards laid down under the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954 by the Central Committee of Food Standards to obtain minimum level of quality of foodstuffs. These standards are statutory and there is a legal backing to it. Prescribed by the AGMARK standards, prescribed by the Directorate of Marketing and Inspections of the Government of India. This gives the assurance of the quality of the foodstuffs. And then Indian Standards Institution, prescribed by the Bureau of Indian Standards. The AGMARK and ISI are not mandatory but purely voluntary. They express a degree of excellence above PFA standards. The presence of ISI mark also gives the consumer an assurance of the good quality of the product. So Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, Government of India enacted it, amendments, this also can be a short note. So Government of India enacted it, amendments in 1965, 76 and 1986. The state government enforces the act, especially municipalities. Provides protection against adulteration of food, deals with frauds of supplying cheaper and adulterated food. Anyway, now Food Adulteration Act, I think we will talk about next class when your mind is fresh, because that is important. Anyway, another 5 minutes I will talk. Only 2 slides, so I will complete this. So the Government of India enacted it, amendments in 1965, 1976 and 1986. The state government enforces the act. The act provides protection against adulteration of food, deals with frauds for supplying cheaper and adulterated food, regulates the use of chemicals, pesticides, flavors and other additives in food preparation, and it also ensures dumping of substandard foods and enrichment and fortification of foods. The rules are framed by an expert body called Central Committee for Food Standards. State governments appoints public analysts and food inspectors. In fact, chain of 82 state food laboratories and 4 central are present in our country. So if the adulteration is proved, trader is given minimum 6 months imprisonment and a fine of ₹1,000. If adulteration is very hazardous, fine is ₹5,000 and lifetime imprisonment also can be given. For instance, occurrence of epidemic dropsy and all those things. 1986 amendment, consumer and voluntary organizations can take the sample of food to the respective nearby food research laboratories through a proper application channel. Here, I want to elaborate a little bit. In fact, at town level, or who is the person responsible responsible for implementing the act. See, many of the municipalities, especially A-grade municipalities and in municipal corporations, they are having health officers specifically. These are the people who are on deputation from government of Telangana or Andhra Pradesh, whatever it may be, to the respective municipality. That person is the in charge of implementing several public health acts, not only Prevention of Food Adulteration Act, and he is assisted by food inspectors. And previously, that is prior to 1986, he alone can take, he or food inspector alone can take the sample in the case of suspicion or in the case of reporting by some person. This was the scenario. But after 1996 amendment, and there is a specific procedure, say he has to collect the suspected food, divide it into 3 parts, one part and that should be sealed and given to the merchant, and one part should be kept with the office of health officer, and other third part will be sent for this food analyst. And then prosecution proceedings are launched by this health officer or, in other words, municipal commissioner. So this was the situation previously. And now in 1986 an amendment, not that after 1986 the services of health officer or commissioner, municipal commissioner are dispensed with. One of the thing is they have potentiated the act. So 1986 amendment, consumer and voluntary organizations also can take the samples of food to the respective nearby food research laboratories through a proper application charge. That is, they have a right to know whether the food which is being sold in such a certain outlet is adulterated or not. So I will stop here, and next class the remaining things I will begin. Thank you.